Hello and welcome to the POWERBOOST Meditation. Today, let us experiment with the theme live in zero to live with one. Live in zero to live with one. To live with one is for the consciousness to really experience belonging to the one in a very natural way, to the one divine. We all know that the path of meditation is really to experience that natural connection, that remembrance, that belonging to the one divine. And in order to do that, to live in zero, to live in zero, which means I look at the world, look at the story through the attitude, through the perspective of being zero. Zero. It's like living. There are two aspects. The one is living and the other is visiting. So where am I living? Am I living in the zero, or am I living in the outside external story world? So a yogi life, or a life which is lived in the truth, is actually when we live in the zero and we visit the external, the outer, the story world. Generally, in a consciousness which is rooted or based in the story, we live in the story, and from time to time we may get time to visit the zero or visit the soul, the experience, the world of the soul. But in this consciousness, we live in the zero. We see everything from the lens of zero. Zero, the soul, the inner being, that has zero needs from this story world. This inner being that has zero attachments in the story world. That inner being that is just observer, is an observer of this story world. Who plays a role in the story world, but knows that it's just a game, it's just a story. That inner being knows that he's not entitled to anything from the story world. So living in zero, living in this clarity. And in this clarity, I'm able to then experience the presence of the one who naturally lives in this clarity. And that one is the divine, the source. Because in the mind of the source, it is clear that the source is beyond, lives in the world beyond, lives in zero. And so when I vibrate with that frequency of living in zero, then I naturally am able to connect in a very natural way, that there is no effort needed to connect. But the soul very easily experiences the presence of the one. So today, let us experiment with this thought for a few minutes. Live in zero to live with the one. as we sit back and relax. Let us come back to this realization that there is a world out there, and there is a world in here. I realize that as a spiritual being, a being of light, I live in here. I live in the zero. And I visit the outer three-dimensional world as a visitor, and then come back inside. It is clear for me that the world out there, with all its expansions, with all its stories, is a game that I, the inner being, the point of light, I am playing. I live in the zero. I live inside. Because it is a game, my only attitude towards the game is to just watch it as an observer and to enjoy it. I know that I have zero needs, zero expectations, zero attachments from the game. Even if this game were not to exist, it wouldn't matter to I, the spiritual being, the being of light. This game, this external appearances, they're all temporary. And I live in this clarity. I live in the zero. I realize that my home, the unlimited home, where all of us spiritual beings belong, is above and beyond this game, in the dimension of light, in the dimension of silence. My mind is naturally inclined towards experiencing that realm of silence. As I go beyond into that experience, I realize that there is another presence in this dimension, the presence of an unconditional, eternal presence, the one to whom I, the zero, the soul, belong. I begin to experience the presence of the one. In this dimension, my life is with the one. There's no vibration of the story here. There are no roles, there are no tasks. Everything is eternal here. In this dimension of light, in this dimension of zero, my thoughts, my feelings are connected with the one. The feeling of belonging to the one. The feeling of being loved by the one. The feeling of just looking at the one. The feeling of allowing myself to be loved by the one. I, the zero, I live with the one, in the heart of the one. This is the experience, the eternal link of love. In this connection, there is a flow of eternal love that enters me, the soul, from the source. The soul is awakened. The soul wakes up to this light of truth, where the soul realizes that the real life is here, lived in my truth, with my eternal family, with my eternal companion, the one, in my eternal home here. This is where all of us souls, stars live. We all live with the one. In the presence of the one, there's nothing else that the soul needs. The soul is full. because the soul tastes the ocean of love, the ocean of light, because the source lives in the zero. Naturally, the source is able to give eternally. Like an ocean, just experiencing these waves of the ocean of love. I, the soul, the zero, make the journey back into the three-dimensional movie, the play. And as I return back, I come back with this feeling of living with the One. As I take support of this costume, I realize that I live in this awakened state. I enjoy the game of life from the perspective of zero and in the company of the One. Om Shanti. Thank you.